The rosary pea, Abris precatorius, produces some of the most beautiful seeds in the natural world. Vivid scarlet with a jet black spot, perfectly smooth, almost gem-like in their appearance. For centuries, people have strung them into necklaces, rosaries, and prayer beads. They have been traded across continents, worn by children, and sold as good luck charms in market stalls from Mumbai to Miami. And they are, gram for gram, among the most toxic substances on Earth. This is the story of Abris precatorius, the rosary pea, also called the jequirity bean. Understanding how it kills is a lesson in just how sophisticated and how ruthless nature's chemistry can be. The plant behind the bead is easy to overlook. It's a slender, twining vine native to tropical and subtropical regions across Asia and Africa, and over the centuries it's spread to the Americas, Australia, and beyond. Partly by accident, partly because humans found its seeds so irresistibly beautiful that they carried them everywhere they went. The vine climbs fences, hedgerows, and forest edges with feathery, pinnate leaves and small pink to purple flowers that bloom almost shyly compared to what comes next. When those flowers give way to seed pods, something extraordinary appears. Each pod curls and splits open to reveal a cluster of hard, oval seeds, brilliant red with a precise black spot at one end, as though painted by a careful hand. In different cultures, they go by dozens of names: crab's eye, jequirity bean, lucky bean, precatory bean, love pea. In India, jewelers and merchants historically used them as a standardized unit of weight called a rati, because rosary pea seeds are remarkably consistent. Each one weighs almost exactly 1 rati, approximately 1.75 grains. Before standardized measurements existed, a trader who needed to weigh gold could reach into a pouch of these seeds and trust that nature had done the calibration for them. That consistency, that perfection of form, made them precious. Their beauty made them desired. And that desire across centuries and continents has put countless people in danger without them ever knowing it. The toxin inside the rosary pea is called abrin, with an estimated lethal dose 50 value of 0.04 micrograms per kilogram, making it extraordinarily lethal. It belongs to a family of proteins known as ribosome inactivating proteins, a category that also includes the infamous ricin, derived from castor beans. The two toxins are often compared because they work through the same fundamental mechanism, and some researchers consider abrin to be even more potent by weight. Like ricin, abrin is a two-part molecule, an A chain and a B chain, bound together and working in terrifying coordination. When abrin enters the body, whether through ingestion, inhalation, or injection, the B chain is a lectin, a sugar-binding protein that acts as a molecular key. It seeks out and binds to specific sugar structures on the surface of cells throughout the body, and that binding triggers the cell to pull the entire molecule inside. The cell, in essence, opens the door and invites the toxin in. Once inside, the molecule is processed within the cell's own compartments. The A chain separates, and that is when the real destruction begins. The A chain is a highly efficient N-glycosidase enzyme with one singular purpose. It inactivates ribosomes. Ribosomes are the machinery responsible for synthesizing proteins. Every enzyme your cells produce, every structural component they build, every signal molecule they release. Ribosomes are, in the most literal sense, what keeps cells alive. The A chain targets a very specific site on the ribosomal RNA, cleaving a single adenine residue in a region called the sarsen-ricin loop. That single cut is enough. The ribosome stops working. Protein synthesis halts. The cell enters apoptosis, programmed cell death. And because the A chain is catalytic, meaning it is not consumed in the reaction, it moves on and does it again. One molecule of abrin can inactivate thousands of ribosomes before the cell finally dies. As this happens across tissues and organs simultaneously, the effects become systemic. The liver, kidneys, spleen, and gastrointestinal tract all come under assault. Inflammation cascades through the body. Internal bleeding can begin. In severe cases, the damage is irreversible, and without treatment, the outcome is death. What makes abrin especially dangerous is the delay. Symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain may not appear for several hours after exposure, sometimes even longer. That window of apparent normalcy can be deadly, because by the time a person feels sick, the toxin has already done significant work at the cellular level. Here's where the rosary pea's story gets genuinely complicated. The seeds are, paradoxically, partially protected by their own hard outer coat. That coat is so tough that if a whole intact seed is swallowed, it often passes through the digestive system without releasing its contents. Animals that accidentally consume whole seeds sometimes survive entirely unaffected. The poison inside never gets out, but that protection is fragile. If the seed coat is cracked, scratched, or chewed, even slightly, the abrin is released directly into the digestive system. The difference between a swallowed seed and a chewed one can be the difference between no effect at all and a life-threatening poisoning. Children are at particular risk because they are far more likely to bite down on something interesting before an adult can intervene. And then there's the more hidden risk, the people who work with these seeds professionally. Rosary pea jewelry has been made for generations across tropical regions. Artisans drill through the seeds to string them, a skill passed down through families, a livelihood for many. The hard coat that protects against ingestion offers no protection against a needle. A prick through freshly drilled seed material can drive abrin directly into the bloodstream. There are documented cases of jewelry makers dying from accidental exposure, not from wearing the beads, but from making them. That's the rosary pea's most cruel irony. The beauty that made it valuable created an industry, and that industry created a hidden hazard that took lives quietly, often without anyone understanding the cause. Abrin's potency hasn't gone unnoticed outside of craft traditions. It has been classified as a CDC select agent alongside ricin by health authorities in the United States and other countries. Like ricin, it can be extracted from the seeds, and there is currently no approved antidote. Treatment for abrin poisoning is entirely supportive, managing symptoms, maintaining fluid balance, and supporting organ function, and the outcome depends almost entirely on how much toxin was absorbed and how quickly treatment begins. But the story of abrin is not only one of danger. Researchers have spent decades investigating whether its lethality could be turned against disease. Because abrin destroys cells with such extraordinary precision, scientists have explored attaching its A chain to antibodies that target cancer cells, an approach called immunotoxin therapy. The idea is to engineer a molecule that carries the toxic payload only to tumors. The antibody finds the cancer, the abrin kills it. Healthy tissue, in theory, is left alone. Clinical research in this area has been difficult and largely limited to early phase studies, but the framework remains one of the more compelling areas of toxin-derived cancer therapy. It is a strange thought that one of the plant kingdom's most dangerous secrets might one day help save lives. But that tension between poison and medicine runs throughout the history of plant toxicology. Digitalis from foxgloves, morphine from poppies, Taxol from yew trees. The line between remedy and poison has always been thinner than we imagine. Rosary peas aren't a distant threat either. The vine grows widely across the southern United States, particularly in Florida, where it has been classified as a Class 1 invasive species. It spreads along roadsides, forest edges, and disturbed land. It can appear in gardens without being deliberately planted, and the seeds, once you know what to look for, are unmistakable. If you encounter the vine, remove it with gloves and take care not to break open the seed pods during the process. If a child has chewed or swallowed a rosary pea seed, do not wait for symptoms. That window of apparent normalcy is not safety. Contact poison control immediately. In the United States, call 1-800-222-1222. Early intervention, including activated charcoal to limit absorption, can make a critical difference. If you purchase craft items or jewelry while traveling in tropical regions, it is worth knowing that rosary pea beads are still commonly used in handmade goods. The seeds are generally safe to wear. They are not safe to chew, crack, or drill into without proper precautions. There is something almost poetic about the rosary pea. A seed so lovely it has been worn as adornment across human history, strung on thread, carried in pockets, pressed into the hands of children as a gift. A toxin so precise it has inspired cancer research. a plant so widespread that millions of people encounter it without knowing its name or its nature. The rosary pea does not disguise itself. It does not mimic something edible or hide in the undergrowth. It simply does what it has always done, produced a seed designed by evolution to survive, wrapped in a coat beautiful enough to attract human attention, carrying chemistry potent enough to end a life. The danger was never hidden. It was just wearing something beautiful. And that, in the end, is what makes it worth understanding.